have a question.
Yeah.
What's your experience with there's the thought of loving yourself,
Mm.
and my I guess understanding is there's awareness, and then there's mind is an appearance in awareness,
Mm.
mental, and there's a feeling of that's me.
Mm-hmm.
So to love yourself and that mind
Mm-hmm.
is a part of that. That mind is that a possible thing to do? Is that a relationship that can be enhanced, or you can actually come to a place of it's almost there's like forgiveness in there. There's uh, resolution because there's so much battling between in whatever's going on.
Yes.
I just wonder.
How to love that whole thing?
Yeah, how do you do it? How do you, is there like can you give me a technique or? I'm just probably curious, but there is probably some wanting it because it's hard. It feels hard.
Actually, not. It's not hard to love yourself. It's the easiest. Everybody loves the self. But then we are identifying ourselves so much with what we are creating in the mind that we are so focused on that self image, which is not what you are. It's just an image. It's just a role you are playing in the theater of this world. And it doesn't mean that we have to become all narcissistic about that image. I think it's absolutely wonderful. But if you start to observe that idea you have about yourself, then you become aware, okay, I'm observing. So it's not really what I am. There's something that is prior to that. And when that starts to dawn, then automatically that longing for fullness, that longing for love, that longing for being complete or happy is directed there. As long as we are completely identified with that idea that we are having about ourselves, then we want to be happy, we want to be joyous. Everybody has that. It's a natural yearning because it would be natural to be happy. But then we have become so unnatural, and everybody feels somehow, somewhere it's not right, and then we try to be happy with doing all kinds of crazy things. And then we, we may start to condemn ourselves. I'm such a fool, and oh, and have, as you said, then there starts this fight in yourself. In a way, you want to love yourself. In a way, you judge yourself. You hate yourself. But it's not really yourself that you are hating and loving there. It's that image. And as long as we are just clinging to that image and think that's what I am, that fight will never stop. But you mentioned forgiveness. It's perfectly valid that you look at your story and you stop judging yourself and you start to forgive. Okay, you can forgive that fellow that that you thought you were in the past and that you did this and that
Is
you.
that a doing, or does that naturally happen by reorienting inside? Or
It may just spontaneously, naturally happening, but you can also consciously open up to that.
yeah,
You
that's
can consciously tell yourself, okay, I'm forgiving that. You may not be capable to completely forgive in your heart, but your attempt will open up the possibility that it can happen. Don't get too much seduced by this modern neo-Advaita teaching. Don't do anything. There's no doing. As long as you're doing, you're just strengthening your ego. If you can just be in your natural state without doing, okay. But then unconsciously we are doing so much to create our misery. We are putting a tremendous continuous effort into it unconsciously to make our life miserable. To continuously do the same stupid thing over and over and over and over in a way perfectly well, deep down knowing I'm just creating suffering, and still we are doing it. And out of habit, the attention is pulled, is tempted to go into that again and again. And we are spending an enormous amount of energy doing that all the time. So there's no point in simply saying don't do anything, as long as you can't help it and do that all the time. There, you still have to do that much to remind yourself to look at it, to learn, to look at yourself honestly and see what's going on and learn not to do that anymore. As long as we are doing all the time unconscious all that stuff, you cannot get around some doing to become aware of it and neutralize that. And then you can just be. But there's no point to say yourself is non-doing, just be, but your mind is still going on and on and on and creates all the pain and the trouble. Somehow or other, we start to seek, we start to look for something else because something somewhere is fed up with suffering. Doesn't want to go for that anymore. I've had it. And then we're looking to find ways to be natural without always creating that hurt, that pain. And there you can very well do that, that you look at your story and then you see that in many times that you think, oh God, how can I do, how could I have done that? And there we keep on judging, standing in judgment over it. And there you consciously tell yourself, no, at that time I couldn't help it because I didn't know better. So forgive that fellow. And if you do that consciously in your mind, then the heart starts to open, and then the forgiveness that is not the doing may start to happen. When I started to sit all the time on my bum, then I thought I had been practicing for 12 years before all kinds of things. And I thought, now it's and instead of getting quieter, then it really started rumble. Oh my God! I didn't know how much crap I was carrying along in my mind, how much unfulfilled desires, how much anger about stuff that people have done to me. It would just come up and and somehow I had to learn. First, I just tried to. I don't want to have anything to do with that stuff. I wanted to sit and meditate and be cosmic and spiritual and whatever, and not being busy with my stupid mind. But somehow I had to accept, surrender to the fact this is there and needs attention, and learn to watch it, learn to let the stuff come without getting completely lost in the past again, but being here now and see how it is affecting the experience right now, and learn to let go, learn to relax, and then gradually all that energy that was still locked in it was dissipating, and finally it was just a story. When it stops being a weight, then you need not do anything about it. But as long as it's there and somehow nagging and you cannot simply let it go, then you cannot avoid somehow or other taking care of that. If we avoid it, you can, with the loftiest philosophies, avoid it and say, it's only the mind, it doesn't matter, it has nothing to do with the self, but as long as that is there, it will come and create troubles. And then quite some time later, the past came again. The previous, I was thinking of all the bad fellows that had been doing things to me, and being angry, would sit there and would suddenly there was that anger coming up, and I had to learn to deal with it. But then, quite some time later, the past again came quite strong up. But then I saw what I have been doing all the time. I became more aware what were the motivations, what were my attitudes, and I started to become aware. Oh my God! Even when I thought I was doing good things, there was always that calculating, screwy mind behind, trying to somehow squeeze out some advantage or something. And it started to, at first, to be looking at that and feeling like, yeah, cool. And then do the same thing with that. Not standing in judgment, not only about all the others that have been doing bad things to you, but also, okay, at that time, couldn't help it from all the information, from all the conditionings from growing up. Somehow I couldn't help it to behave, to think, to be motivated the way I was. But then it's the past, so what? Look at it, forgive it, and let it go. Learn to be here now, new, fresh, like a little child. In spite of having a child can't help it because it has not yet developed the intellect. So it doesn't have the choice to either go brooding about something or to be spontaneously here. The child is just functioning. It's like boom, bursting out, this burst of life and joy and energy coming out. But we can consciously come back to that innocent beauty again, in spite of having the capacity where it's appropriate, use the intellect.
We are speaking about anger,
Anger.
and Bhagavan Ramana said, "Be angry with your anger," and it is a practice I like.
You like?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Be angry with your anger.
Uh-huh. And it works?
I don't know, but not so bad. Yes.
Very good.
Not too bad. Maybe yes.
Just on that, I heard something he said where two people were arguing in the ashram, and he was saying the anger, that's something you can grab and follow it down to the source pretty easy, and to the just beingness. That he said, grab it like a snake by the head and just follow it down to where that's coming from.
Yes.
Note Shore was relating that. It's
I
interesting.
mean, you can use anything.
It is a big energy, so
You're right.
let's
That's
go
it.
on, continue.
You can use anything to bring the attention back to the source that makes that experience possible. And the so-called negative emotions, you can use them very much because the habitual reaction of the me personality is not at all to observe that, but to be completely driven by that emotion, to act on it. Already the fact that you step a step back and watch it is turning your attention away from the habitual personal way of functioning. And then you just have to relax. Not try to control your anger, let the anger be there. If you don't resist it, but if you are not overwhelmed by it, I mean, if you are overwhelmed and go for it, then you may be very destructive. But if you are capable of just seeing that anger, then let it be there. And if you don't resist, it can be quite an experience. Enjoyable.
Werner,
Yes?
if all things come up in the mind, if you say what you exactly do, you just be aware of it, that's the whole thing you do, right?
Uh-huh.
Is it? If this, what you talk about, is past things come up, you say, yeah, but you just watch it, that's enough, right?
Right. But you can a bit play with it. If past comes up, if you can drop it, if you can just let go, drop it, let it go. It's not that you have to go looking, there's something more to dig out, some more trouble. There's no end to it. It's a jungle. But a lot of stuff may just go. Sometimes you may be busy with a certain event, but then if you learn to detach from that, a whole field may drop. That you need not go to all the similar events that have had similar reactions and stuff. So basically be here, now, at peace, at ease. You need not go and dig in the dirt and look there has something to be polished off again. That which is disturbing that peace is coming all by itself. And if it's insistent, if you cannot let it go, then take care of it. Taking care of it, you can just watch it, but you can let it come invariably if it's charged with unexpressed, suppressed emotion, then the emotions also will come. And so you have to accept that these emotions come and be careful that you are not completely slipping again in the past and be totally absorbed in what has happened there, but let the memory come, the emotions come, but try to be centered in the now, in that timelessness of the present, and see how it is affecting that. And if you can observe like this, then it's gradually losing its charge. At that moment, it may go, and it's gone, free, at peace, and you think it's gone, and then the next day the same stupid story may come up again. And if you can, you let it go. But if it's too strong, then you accept, okay. Instead of trying to push it away, open up to it again. Let it come with all the pleasant and unpleasant emotions and memories. But try not to get lost. And if you become aware how much you are in the past, turn the attention back to the now. And observe what is happening now and relax. Don't fight it. Observe it and relax. And so the pressure disappears. And even the strongest stuff, with patience, it loses its power, and then it's just a story.
If I lay down, especially at night or early in the morning, all kind of memories comes, but I long forgotten, and tears come sometimes. It just goes.
Just observe.
And I've observed. Then often, if I sit up, then it's gone. I lay down, starts again. It's like almost like a click.
Yeah.
But it is no problem. It comes and comes and
Yeah.
comes and comes.
Then you just continue observing. Don't get too much interested in it. Because we are tempted always to make all this mental stuff very interesting. And when we get interested, then we're feeding it again.
No, it is not so interesting.
We're feeding it by getting interested in it. We're feeding it by getting helplessly overwhelmed by it and putting it into action. And we're also feeding it by fighting it. But if you just can watch it and relax and don't take that damn story so serious, then it's losing its power.